the answer to the question, what are you worth, is never a number. Never a number. The answer to the question, what are you worth, is who do you love and who loves you? Period. I don't care how you vote. I don't care what you do for a living. Who do you love and who loves you? And if you can't answer those questions, you are not winning. I don't give a crap how much money or influence or power you think you have. And so going back to winning won't make you well, I just was meeting with a group of executives last week, and one guy's was sitting with his wife, and it was couples. And he's 50 something years old. He's cashed out and he can't take his foot off the gas. And I just stood there and looked at his wife, and she's watching their golden years that she's been waiting for the 20s and 30s and 40s, when he missed holidays and late nights and all this stuff, missed kid stuff, for this magic moment. And I looked at him and said, dude, for what? He goes, I have to win. I said, for what? Right. And I think that's the question that most of us avoid most of our lives. The for what question.
So good. Yeah, I heard from someone, I wish I could quote them, but the real success is when you get older, do your kids want to hang out with you? Do they actually want to spend time with you? That's the biggest reward, because what are we doing all this for anyways, John?
For what?
Why am I doing any of this? Why do I want to reach millions of people? It sure as hell ain't to have my face on a billboard so I can feel better about myself. It's so I can help people liberate themselves. That is my for what. I know what it's like to be completely disempowered, to be a slave to my own mind, to be a slave, which you talk about in the book, to anxiety. Anxiety drove my life. It's what caused me to have porn addiction for 20 plus years. The only path out of that was through a connection to a higher power, through a connection to myself. Actually, the learning how to love myself. I came from East County, San Diego, which is not in the 90s and early 2000s, the best place for spiritual growth and development. And my parents did the best they could, John, as we all do, with the level of consciousness we have. But it's so fascinating how, if we want to build a non-anxious life, there's some core reckonings that we must have with ourselves about how we've been projecting that anxiety on other people and making our anxiety their problem. I really want you to speak to that. The projection aspect is huge. We've explored this with Judd Brewer, and I want to get your take on this. Why do we project?
That's like saying, all right, so we got some good basketball lessons from Michael Jordan. Let's see what so Judd's the GOAT, man. Judd is the anxiety
He is the GOAT. He is the GOAT. I wonder your take on this, though.
I think it comes, again, back to the non-nefarious. I think we started solving for comfort. You've probably met with Michael Easter, one of my good buddies. Like, he wrote The Comfort Crisis, and if you haven't, you got to get him on the show. He's amazing.
Okay.
I think we started solving for comfort. Like, why ride a horse so we can get there in 25% of the time in this cool thing called a car? Well, why have wooden wheels when we could have rubber wheels and put shocks on this thing, and we don't all get there with back problems, right? We've been solving for comfort at a pace that far outpaced our body's ability to shift. And so over time, we have solved these problems that have plagued humanity for all human history. You and I can just push a button on our phones, and food would show up while we're talking to each other. You and I are having a conversation, and we're in different states, right? It's madness. And we've run out of things. And again, I'm speaking globally. Of course, there's poverty. Of course, there's really gnarly things. We both know that. But on the whole, we've run out of things to be uncomfortable about. And so it's shifted into this world of ideas and feelings. And now it's not just okay to, like, when I was going to college, being uncomfortable was the freaking point. Why in the world would I pay $100,000 to have somebody just regurgitate what I already think I believe and feel like? I needed a group of people to challenge my beliefs, to help me grow, scaffold me so I could grow further and higher, rethink things, reconcrete things, shatter concrete and rebuild. That was the point. And now people don't go to a certain college because those professors believe different than me. We've completely dumped it on its head. And in the process, I've now have a group of young people of the last 10 years who've been trained. If you are uncomfortable, that's a matter of violence. And so the world's job is to not ever make you uncomfortable. Well, dude, that's cute and comfortable in times of plenty, right? In times of peace, that's all good. Everybody quitting their jobs and going to start, move to 5 acres out in the woods to start their little hobby farms is all cool until last night here in Tennessee when tornadoes ripped through here and all the trees were down. And I was out this morning as the sun was coming up, moving logs out of the neighborhood wouldn't flood, right? With it's a different ball game when things get sideways.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we got here on purpose. I think we've just naturally become accustomed to never being uncomfortable. never being challenged. And now all of a sudden we've had 10 or 15 or 20 years of walking into the weight room and somebody takes the weight off the bar and we lift that bar, and now all of a sudden we need strength and we don't have it because we've been going to the gym and there's been no resistance at all. And that's just not how the world works. And Judd, I got this actually from him. If we're not careful, anxiety becomes an identity, it becomes a label, it becomes a way we operate in the world. And it begins to direct us, as you mentioned. I don't go out because I got social anxiety. I don't date because I've got this type of, I'm not going to take this job because I've got this thing, as though anxiety is, it's like COVID. It's like a thing you catch, or the flu. It's a thing you get. It's not. It's just an internal alarm system that your body sets off, right? And so when we give it more power, when we give it more credence, when we stamp that label on our souls, man, it begins to dictate all of our actions. And we find ourselves in these safe little bubbles in our room with our phones. And that's a dangerous, dangerous, dark place to be right now.
Especially for men. I talked about my upbringing in East County, San Diego. And I don't know about your upbringing. I wonder how that flavored, specifically your relationship with your parents, your dad, and maybe even your early colleagues. Was there a shedding, a coming home to vulnerability with yourself? Because no matter if it's Brene Brown or anybody in this field, it's really about, can I take an exhale and be vulnerable in the moments that matter the fucking most? That's actually where the growth is. Did you have some shedding in your early career around your own vulnerability?
Oh, man. My great-grandfather died when my grandfather was 10. My grandfather was a World War II vet who fought Nazis, who raised my dad, who was a homicide detective / hostage negotiator. When someone was going to jump off a building or had a bomb, they called my old man, and he'd come in there and sit with them and talk them out. Yet there's not a lot of warm and fuzzy in those worlds, right? And yeah, I mean, I was raised, you suck it up, you don't show it, you work hard, and those aren't bad things, but they're not bad things in context. They're devastating when your wife is sitting across the table from me saying, "You don't know me." And I'm saying, "Well, put it in a spreadsheet. Let's figure it out." And she's like, no, you don't know me. And I can't be married like this anymore because I'm not a car engine to be fixed. I am a person to be with. And by the way, I'm smarter than you. You just won't shut up enough, right? So yeah, dude, I've had 20 years of having to learn a new way to operate in the world. And here's what's really powerful. I have seen in my own life, not intentionally, I'm not that smart. I didn't know about this world I was entering into. All I know how to do is tell the truth. And so the number of people who have reached out personally about that book you're holding and said, "I can't believe you told these stories. I can't believe how open and vulnerable you were." I didn't know enough to know that we're supposed to keep those things secret, because I do know that secrets will kill you. And so I think what people are so desperate for right now is someone to sit with them and go, "Yeah, dude, yeah, me too. Right, me too." Yeah. Not, "Well, you know what you should do." Right? Those days are over. The influencer days are over. We need people who have been there and who also know what they're talking about and have walked with a whole bunch of other people. Will you sit with me too? Right? That's where we're at right now.
Don't go anywhere. Click the link on the screen. If you love that clip that you just watched, you're going to absolutely love this full-length video. You just have to tap the little icon on the screen. While you're at it, subscribe.